just thought I'd do a bit of a product review on the 4x4 exhaust system that I've just fitted to the CB750. You'll have seen the unboxing video and the video that I did after fitting it. I got my brothers over to help me fit it because with them being long pipes, they're not separate header pipes and silent, so they're all single units. They're very long, and it means, I guess you could do it single-handedly if you're particularly dexterous, but for most normal people you probably need at least two people to give you a hand, because you need someone at one end guiding and knocking with a rubber hammer, and the other end pulling and guiding it, lining it up with the appropriate kind of holes. So, yeah, to give you an indication of how it went in my review of the exhausts themselves. Well, firstly, obviously taking them out of the box, they're really good quality. They look, they look high end, and I have to say they were expensive. Not the most expensive ones. There's another set that is more expensive. This is probably better value because the particular set I bought came with the heat shields and the rubber clamps to join the two pipes together, if you see what I mean. In terms of fitting them, they were actually quite straightforward. I got an email on the back of doing my unboxing video from David Silver, and he said, once you get number 2 pipe in, it'll all make sense to you. And he was right, actually. So as once I got the number 2 header pipe in there and was able to get it lined up, and just think simple things like remembering to mount it behind the kickstand mount, things like that help really. So yeah, get it in there. So what I'd say is the fit and the finish was very good. You need a rubber hammer, a rubber mallet to make sure they're tight into the header, and then you need to be able to get the bolts in, because for those of you that don't know these 4x4 systems, it's 2 either side, and the pillion footrest bolt goes through the pillion footrest and through the 2 exhaust mountings on each exhaust through the frame, and you bolt it up the other side. So in terms of mounting, really it's just mounted at the header and at the pillion footrest. They're the only 2 mounts there, so it is quite simple. It just looks complicated because it is a 4x4 system, but it went really well. Everything lined up well, everything fitted really well. The only things, obviously, just things to be aware of in case because it's easy to forget, the kind of star collars that go on each header. It's important that you get them on the kind of the right orientation, because they're only, it's a compression kind of fitting, and the threaded part is only in 1/2. So to make life easy, you've got to try and get them orientated so that the bolt end is easier to access. So ideally kind of sticking out away from the centre of the bike, if you can understand what I'm saying, because it's easy to just stick it in, because I did it the first time, put it in, thought I'd got it in the wrong way, then tightening it up and said, hold on, it's not tightening. It's because there was no thread the other end of the star collar. So yeah, make sure you get the collars in the right orientation. And the other thing I'd say is nothing to do with the pipes themselves, is when you come to fit them. Now there may be some kind of people who are doing a direct replacement of their old 4x4 systems, and that's okay. But I wasn't doing that. When I bought the bike, it had an old 4x2 system, which was knackered. You'd never want to use it. So it was going to replace it. And I suspect many people buying a CB750 now, certainly a kind of a vintage one from the 70s, it's kind of highly unlikely that, or I don't know highly unlikely, but it's going to be quite probable that they'll either have 4x2 or 4x1 systems on. And as a consequence of that, the bolts for the exhaust going through the pillion footrest are likely to be too short, and that was the case with mine, because basically it was a 4x2, so all the bolt was going through was the pillion footrest, a tab mount for an exhaust, and the frame. So I think the bolts on, what was on the bike when I got it were about 10 centimeter, 100 millimeter. So they were far too short for what I needed. What I needed was a 150 millimeter M10 for either side. Now, luckily, Toolstation had some, so I was able to nip out and get some new bolts. Obviously, they're not the Honda bolts, so in the future I'll probably swap them out and get the appropriate Honda ones. But it's not something I thought of when I just assumed, I guess, you should have thought through it a bit more. But basically, it'd be nice if when you buy the system, they actually supply the appropriate length bolts with it. I think that would be really helpful. So I can't mark it down in that, because I guess they assume you're going to use your existing bolts, but many of us don't have the existing bolts. So it would be really helpful to have 150 millimeter M10, I think it is M10, two of those with the pack when you buy it. But generally speaking, it was really, really good, and it was good fun. It was a nice afternoon, sunshiny, which is very unusual in Salford. So we rode the bike out into the garden, and we got it going. It took a couple of hours. More time was spent trying to find an 150 millimeter M10 bolt, but there you go. So if in terms of my scoring system, if you like, for these products, what I'd say is, in terms of the pros, definitely the fit and finish, because did everything lined up really nicely, and the finish of the pipes is really good. The set that I bought, they're the slightly lower price ones, but they include the heat shields and the clamps to secure the upper and lower pipe. You'll see it if you know what I mean. And best of all, they look fantastic. So they're definitely the pros. The other thing I'd say, like I said, is if you're buying there are cheaper alternatives around. It's like sort of the Delcovic 4x1, which looks really good, and it's a stainless system. That's really good. But I think if you go for this, you're going for it for the look. There's a particular look with those four cans that you want for. So they do look fantastic. The cons, I'd say, firstly, it's the price. They are expensive, and I'm convinced they can be knocked out cheaper than this. I know there's a lot of metal work there, but even so, it'd be really lovely if Delcovic could do a 4x4. They do a really good 4x1 at a fantastic price. And if Delcovic could do a 4x4 at double the price what they're charging for the 4x1, I think that'd still be a massive winner. So Delcovic, if anyone's watching from Delcovic, you know, there's your opportunity there, because they are, you know, people will buy these, you know, but the price is prohibitive. The only reason I bought them is because I had the funds from the sale of another bike. Otherwise, there was no way I'd be paying out that. The other thing on my thing, and I don't know if it was a fault with one particular pipe, but the centre stand mounting, the rubber bung to prevent the centre stand hitting the pipes, I don't know if it was designed like that, but it was just a weird shape. It was kind of concave, and it meant it was impossible to get the rubber bung into the mount. So I had to stick a bit of rubber foam in there for the motor as a temporary measure until I work out a way of doing it better. So that was the only real snag. The one for the kickstand, there's another rubber bung for the kickstand that fitted perfectly, easy to get in, perfect fit. But for the centre stand, it wasn't ideal. And I don't know, you know, it just makes sense to me if the mount should have been flat, should have been straight, would have been a lot easier. But on mine, there was almost like a 90-degree bend in it, and I couldn't work out why that was the case. It made it impossible to fit the bung. So I've got some foam in there at the minute. So in terms of overall rating, what I'd say is I'd give it a 4 out of 5. There are a few things that could push it up to 5. I think certainly reducing the cost would be the big one. The other thing is probably just for convenience, and keeping in mind that many people, such as myself, who are buying these, are doing them to replace a non-standard exhaust, so we wouldn't necessarily have the 150mm M10 bolt for either side for the pillion footrest. So I think it'd be really good if they could be included within the kit. So at the minute, based on what the experience I've had, I'd say an overall of 4 out of 5. But that said, like so the other things which I'm not going to kind of mark on because it is purely kind of subjective, it's personal choice. The exhaust nose is lovely, but they're surprisingly quiet. The pipes are surprisingly quiet. That doesn't bother me. I don't particularly like loud pipes. I've never liked loud pipes. I don't know if the baffles are removable in this. I've not checked. I suppose, yeah, most baffles are, I guess, really. So if you wanted it louder, I assume you can remove the baffles. I'm not going to. I think I'm quite happy with them the way they are. So yeah, overall, I'm very happy with it. They do transform the look of the bike. It's, you know, the price of them is out of many people's reach, and that's a real shame. As I say, the only reason I could do it is because I'd sold another bike. What I would say is, like sort of Delcovic, you know, is your opportunity. There's a really good opportunity here. I'd say a stainless system. The chrome looks nice, but I like stainless systems as well, just for practical reasons. And if you could pull in a 4x4 system for sub 800 quid, I think it'd fly off the shelves. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed that. I've got my coffee. It's morning time, but 6:15. That's what I always do. I'm always up early. So I'm on the bike today. I'm going to be starting to look at these carbs. I'll try and do a video of that if I can. Okay, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.